Yes, guys, this video is brought to you by Manscaped. And fellas, blink if you haven't bought your Father's Day a gift yet. I can see it. Look at all that blinking. I knew it. Our friends at Manscaped have crafted the total package for his special day. Whether it's for the boys downstairs, his beard, or even if it's for boxers, Manscaped has all the bases covered. Head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DEVIL. This all-in-one kit comes with a beard hedger, which is Manscaped's most advanced beard trimmer, as well as shampoo, conditioner, oil, and balm for your pups' beard. It also comes with a brush, comb, scissors. Your dad's gonna be a new man, and no beard kit will be complete without the Manscaped Handyman face shaver as well, for that smooth finish, which we know your dad's gonna need. Also, the Boxers 2.0 that were designed with a simple mission, yeah? Make things comfortable. And the Shears. The Shears 3.0 is a 5-piece precision men's nail grooming kit that any father needs to stay on top of his self-care with professional grade stainless steel tools. So go to Manscaped. Like I said, use the code for 20% off your order and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code. Or just visit manscaped.com and insert the code as well.
Welcome everybody back to What the Devil episode 18. This video is sponsored by Manscaped, thank you very much. On Father's Day they're doing a little bit of a sale, check the link in the description to know all of that. And we're going to get straight on to Manchester United. Right, FA Cup, we won, fantastic, beautiful. But I feel like, that's over, that's done with, that's dealt with. Next thing we're talking about is the transfer window, big window for Man United. There's a lot of players who seemingly might go. There's a lot of links to players who might stay and who might be coming and joining in, but there's also a big budget problem. There's some reports saying that United only have about 35 net million to spend. There's over hopefully 100 million to be raised in sales. So there's some big questions that need to be asked about, who do INEOS bring in? Because they don't have an unlimited pot of funds like some teams with 115 charges do. So, yeah. Yes. And so a report came out of the Times this morning or yesterday, basically saying that INEOS have told Man United and the staff to treat the club's budget as if it's their own money. So quite clear they want to be tight, they want to be stringent. And there's obviously this whole thing about Branthwaite that's just come out about, how INEOS value him at maybe 40 million and Everton are asking for up to 80 million with the whole Harry Maguire comparison. It
was from the Manchester Evening News where it said that sources from Everton saw parallels between the two situations when United overpaid for Maguire in 2019. And like you said, from all the reports that are coming out, I do think that United will be more strict. If Everton start going 70, 80, I don't think United will follow like they have done previously. And also because the centre-back market is quite wide, there's quite a lot of quality.
There's a lot of
I don't think Branthwaite right now is a do or die, although he is very talented and very young. I don't think that certain situation is a do or die for United. So fingers crossed that we do see, hopefully we still spend a fair bit of money because this squad needs it. Yeah. But at the same time, I am kind of looking forward to seeing hopefully some more strategic working in the transfer market and not spending 100 million on
wingers
on someone who hasn't played in the top league.
How much do you think Branthwaite is worth? Because obviously I've seen 80 million touted, but when you put his whole kind of a package together in terms of his ability, his age, like he was mentioning, how much do you think, in your opinion, is he worth?
He has got a long-term deal at Everton. He's 21. He's English. That all of them do come together. So I personally think he's probably around the 60 to 65.
Really?
I think that's.
I reckon 60-65, I reckon you're paying for someone who has some guaranteed quality. But in terms of guaranteed quality and let's say longevity, blah, blah, blah. Like I say, like Jared Branthwaite has been great in an Everton side where he needs to be great. He's had one season in the Premier League. I wouldn't exactly say that 65 million would be kind of his true value.
But you're not, like you said, you aren't paying just for the... Like no one pays for a young player for what they are right now, and also, even though Everton are going through financial difficulties,
I think that's too much.
So many clubs are now taking control of situations of their own players because, like Michael Elise and Eze, Palace value them, and they're both quality players, but Palace would probably value them way higher than they're probably worth. But to them, they're their two best players. And Branthwaite is similar to Everton. They've had a really good defensive record this season, or well, last season. Him and Tarkowski, good partnership. So they are kind of. It's confusing though, because I would say they're in the driving seat, but they have got all of these financial issues, which no one's entirely sure how much will affect
Everton
them.
shouldn't be in the driving seat in a transfer negotiation with Manchester United, ever. I just don't think so. And if INEOS want to establish, Manchester United as we are Manchester United, you can't let Everton dictate terms like that.
No, but it's their player, and he's got a long-term contract. He's English. Well, that doesn't really, but he's got a long-term contract. They might not necessarily need to sell unless they get what they want. And I'm not saying that INEOS have to pay that. I'm just saying that that's what Everton will probably put him worth. And INEOS either need to decide whether they believe that that's the right price or they look elsewhere for better value.
Yeah, I think in the market today, what you're saying is basically there's the club have their value of what it's worth to them.
Yeah.
And then there's maybe what Dylan's trying to say in terms of the actual worth of the player. I think it's somewhere maybe at 50 million, maybe sounds a bit fair, 45 million.
I think,
maybe.
Between 40 and 50 million, I think.
Yeah, but what they're maybe valuing the player is at that 80 million price point that I think we're seeing, or maybe 60, 70 million pound price point. Everton, anyway, to them, what Branthwaite kind of is to them. But I would say maybe at the 50 million, because like you say, it's only his first season. It's not really like he's been here for many a season. And then in comparison to the competition, other people in the league, Saliba and even Maguire to a degree, I guess. But 65 million is expensive.
I reckon 65 million is, if you're paying 65 million pounds for a centre back, like get rid of the whole Maguire context and you say Maguire is, like, say, an anomaly in the bad way of we just completely messed that up in our negotiations with Leicester because we let them dictate the terms. 75 million gets you a bona fide world-class centre-back like Van Dijk. 65 million, there's a bigger difference between Branthwaite and Van Dijk than 10 million, if that makes sense. And I feel like if you're going to charge that amount of money for a talent and what he can become, there should be some sort of there should be more proof. No, there should be more proof that they can hack it at a club like United. So, for example, let's say Branthwaite played for Real Madrid. You'd go, 65, 70, 80 million pound centre back, because he's already proved, even though he's played one season, that he's done it in the top level in the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got people like Maguire who were fantastic because of the context that was around them, such as being in a Leicester team that sat deep, an England team that sat deep.
But you do look at the qualities of the player as well. I'm not necessarily saying Maguire's the example where he excelled at Leicester, because he's still done well at United, but there were differences in style of play. People argue that he's better in a certain type of system. But Branthwaite does. You can say that he's raw and he's not had much time to prove, but what he is good at, his physical nature, he's really quick, he's strong, he's got the attributes which you do go, okay, this player would fit in what we want to do. So, obviously, you'd much prefer the player to have 3-4 years of experience in a club like that. But then you get into the trouble of, now he's gone to Chelsea or Arsenal or someone like that, and then he's there long term. Sometimes with these longer term signings of players with high potential, you do have to take a bit of a risk, but then obviously you have to weigh it up with the monetary value.
Yeah, I guess, but as well as like the centre back market it's not like the striker market where there's just no strikers available. Like the centre back market, there are a lot of really good centre backs across Europe, and the Premier League kind of style at the top clubs is becoming more, I guess you'd say, like cliche European style football, which is like, more tactic based along the floor. People like players like Lisandro Martinez now, when he does play, excelling in the Premier League. And like top 5 centre backs in the world, says Pep Guardiola. But like, and then I guess if there was a centre back market that was scarce, that would obviously increase demand, and therefore maybe it's probably worth 65 million. I don't know. I just feel like anything more than 40, 45 million you can definitely get someone, I'd say, as good as Branthwaite, or who can be as good as Branthwaite, somewhere else without the 65 million thing. Because there is also an English tax.
Yeah,
I know you briefly mentioned it. There's definitely an English tax there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're coming up to the Euros. Let's say Branthwaite has a couple good games in the Euros, coming, I don't know, playing 20 minutes against France, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That shoots his price up by another 70 million. And another 270 million, not even 165 million pounds centre back. But yeah, I don't know.
Good Euros,
honestly, this summer, I really want to see us making good deals.
Yeah.
Not necessarily signing, your bona fide, I've said that word like 3 times I think already in this podcast, like world-class players. I just want to see us making good deals because I'm so tired of us seeing us make horrible deals.
Yeah, and also I want to see players who fit into... Obviously, we will know more in the coming weeks when Ten Hag's future's decided. If there's a new manager, we'll sort of be able to put 2 and 2 together to see what style we're going to be going into. So yeah, it will be interesting once we know these things, and I'm assuming there's going to be reports going into a bit more detail about what INEOS want if Ten Hag stays, what they want him to do style-wise, and then when transfer targets come around, you can almost see if it really is going to work and get put together correctly, because we've been linked with a lot of players already, and it's probably going to keep going up throughout the summer. But then, hopefully, the deals which we do make, you'll be able to see what reports, and hopefully pre-season gives us an idea as well. Even though we have seen that pre-season is not a great indicator of how you do in the season, but style-wise, it will be interesting to see what players do eventually come.
Do you think we'll be, when you're talking about world-class talents, Dylan, I just think this time in the market, we won't be able to go for world-class players just because of their price points.
And we shouldn't be.
Yeah. Do you think now we'll be trying to, utilise the likes of Dan Ashworth, if he's available to us, in terms of being, able to get, the data out and see, like what you're saying, Kane, this specific player suits this particular system or philosophy that we want to play under INEOS. And I think that's kind of maybe the strategy, and then obviously Wilcox in terms of his recruitment abilities, adding to that to kind of like confirm that X player's good enough for the team, but at a lesser price point. Yeah. Also the outgoings, we're talking about incomings as well, but
there's no big incomings if we don't have a good summer. To be fair, that's probably what I'm looking forward to seeing the most.
Yeah.
Hopefully getting actual good value for money out of certain players. We've spoken about it towards the back end of the season, certain players who debated whether they should leave or not. It's going to be interesting to see how they actually go about that now.
I'm going to be a bit disappointed if we raise anything less than 120 mil from sales. We have so many good assets to sell this summer. Like you've got number 1 Mason Greenwood,
40 mil,
40 million at least. Jadon Sancho's stock's only going up 30, 40 million. There's 75, 80 million there.
Casemiro.
Then you've got Casemiro. United are asking for 30. We're not going to get 30, but probably let's say 20 million.
Saudi should. I still think look at the parallels between Fabinho. How much did Fabinho go for?
Like 45. I reckon that Saudi has gone now.
Yeah,
I reckon that as in like their initial, Liverpool go 30 million. They're going yes. I reckon that's kind of done now because they've thrown the money at it.
Yeah, they'll be more sensible, I assume.
But still, I think 20 million for Casemiro. There's those 3 players now, 100 million. As we said, I think a couple of weeks ago, like the chances of both Maguire and Lindelof staying, or like Maguire and McTominay staying, they're not going to both be staying. There's another 20, 30 million there. Like
Donny van de Beek, maybe.
Yeah, and like Donny van de Beek going somewhere for 5, 10 million. Like there's a definite way that United/INEOS can make 150 mil this summer, but we need to do it quickly. The other thing is sometimes we take so long to sell players and we take so long to buy players. It's the one gripe I have about international tournaments. Although I love international tournaments, I love it. I love them so much. I can't wait for the Euros. Love the World Cup. It pushes the transfer window back. Yeah. So like the only players that we can realistically sign are ones who aren't going away. So which is like somewhere like Todibo. He's not with the France squad. There's I'd quite like to have Todibo. I think 23, 24 years old. Nice captain, great player, internationally captain. That's the kind of player what I'm saying more maybe where you'd pay a little bit more because he's also talented, young, and he's also played for 3 years, and he's played for Barcelona, and he's played for the French national team, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think like that's a really big thing. Is I really hope we can raise 100, 150 million and quick. Like by the time we hit mid-July, 150 million in the bank.
Do you, because so to my knowledge, the window opens on the June the 14th, and then around that time.
Mid-June.
Do you think
12th.
we will be going straight away to purchase players, or was the Euros would the Euros be kind of in between that period and clashing with that period for the start of the window?
If
Meaning that we won't
INEOS
be able
is smart, then we should be.
Yeah.
Because the season ended 4 or 5 days ago. It's the end of May now. There's 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Where there's a 2-week period where you can sit down and let's say they make their manager choice by the end of this week. Or something.
Sure.
And let's say it is Ten Hag.
Yes.
Then Ten Hag stays. They have 2 weeks to sit down with Ten Hag, and they'll go because of the way that things are changing. Ten Hag probably won't be as involved in transfers. It'll more be like right, we're going to sit down with Ten Hag. We're going to work out what positions we need.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 2 centre backs, a left back, striker, and a new winger. Let's say we've got those points right. Scouts, you've got 2 weeks. Compile us a list. We're going to come up with a list of 4 names per position. We'll go back to Ten Hag and go, right, which of these players should we go for?
Yeah.
That can be done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then by the time you hit the transfer window, you know your targets, you know who you want to buy, you know how much money you want to spend on them, you know what your budget is. Yeah. And then it's all about trying to find some of these players. If you're making smarter buys, there might be people who haven't been called up. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like maybe the players you want to buy, the ones for the future, aren't currently in their national teams. But you then buy them now, make them better, and then they will be in their national teams because the Euros inflates prices. It just does.
No.
Do you think we'll find a couple talents within the Euros this season?
That always happens.
Always does happen.
That'll always happen. But and then everyone will find them because there'll be so much hype over them. There'll be some player from, I don't know, who's a slightly rogue country that's in the Euros.
Denmark.
Yeah,
get a third Denmark player in the squad.
There's an amazing Denmark left back. That no one currently knows, and then next thing you know, they're going for
25,
30 million from Real Sociedad or whatever. I'm just thinking the most random place you can find.
Can happen,
but the transfer window, if INEOS get stuff done early, we are set. And if they don't, if they dither, we're just going to be in the same cycle as we always have been. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned it just a minute ago, but obviously reports have come out detailing bits and pieces, and it said that there's going to be more of the manager's going to discuss positions rather than targets, which obviously, if Ten Hag does end up staying, that's probably one of the biggest gripes a lot of fans have had with Ten Hag is transfer activity. So it'll be interesting. There'll be hopefully more structure, and he won't be, or him or another manager won't just be buying certain names. It will be position based, and that has been something which has affected us previously, because I feel like we have gone for names instead of positions beforehand. Like we just forgot that there needed to be a holding midfielder in the team for 4 years. We forgot that we needed another right winger until we decided to buy Sancho, who was a left winger, and Anthony, who didn't seem good enough to start consistently. So I think that's enough. I'm just looking forward to seeing how it materialises throughout the summer.
I'm looking forward to this window, man, and this summer and the Euros and everything. But I was going to ask you this, Marcel. How do you? Okay, let's say on the assumption Ten Hag stays. I still think he's staying.
Yes.
And I've said this the entire time. Either for better or for worse, I still think he's staying because I just think it makes it's the easiest thing to do at the moment.
Yeah.
But okay, on the assumption he does stay, how do you feel about obviously the idea Ten Hag being stripped of as much power as he is in the transfer window? Do you think it is the correct move? Or do you think he should still be trusted to have that extra power and that veto and blah, blah, blah?
So from what we've seen, like what Kane's saying, basically, we've seen, a lot of fans have the gripe on it, and his talent ID's not been brilliant, Unfortunately, Molassi's not been here to prove himself and part of that package, but Anthony's just not been good enough. Amrabat took his time to come into it and has a use case, and he's been really good. Højlund, again, a young prospect in terms of player ability. Martinez has been brilliant, but not always available for us. And a couple others that he's selected. I think Mason Mount's going to be a brilliant player for us.
I like Mason Mount.
I think. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think he's a brilliant player. So it's just going to take him time to get, he's one of the robust players as well. It's been a poor season for injury. I still think maybe potentially Mbappe might come if Rashford leaves. So
crazy.
So Mason Mount,
he's going to Madrid, no?
Well, we don't know that.
Is that not confirmed or?
We don't know that. I Show Speed said that basically 100%. He's being honest, Kane.
No, he did say. He
100% said that, basically Mbappe's not going Real Madrid under no uncertain terms. So if Rashford happens to leave, okay, I think, you know, Mason Mount unfortunately would have to give up the number 7 for Mbappe.
Oh yeah,
because he'll be coming to Manchester
I
United
reckon he's
Football
giving
Club.
it up anyway.
Have you stuck a bet on that?
No, not yet, not yet. I just, and it's not in the betting odds in Old Trafford, so I usually bet only in Old Trafford. But so for me, I think it's important that they're stripping him of this power, because, like you say, you know, and I agree with a lot of the fans' sentiment on that. You know, it hasn't been brilliant, the talent ID. I think it would have been beneficial for him to have the opportunity to stay in power in that way, Dylan, because, you know, as a manager, you want to be able to progressively, as you get better within this league, you want to be able to, you know, use your talent for your eyes for the shape of the team and say, okay, yeah, this player is brilliant, that player is brilliant, instead of it being the powers that be. But think about the powers that be. It's Omar Barada, you know, someone that's, you know, very strict, every 2 years wants to change. That's a good way to look at things. Wilcox, you know, someone that's won the Premier League before, you know, knows what a Premier League player should look like, and was very successful at other clubs, Southampton and stuff like that as well. And then you've got, of course, Dan Ashworth, someone as well, good data person, looking at players that can upscale their value at Brighton, specifically, less so in Newcastle. But I don't mind giving it to the powers that be, you know, instead of Ten Hag, and allow him to focus on coaching. Yeah. I think that would be a really good thing. The main thing for me is keeping Ten Hag in the job, you know, especially even looking at in terms of business for our club. I mean, there's a Euros, so it's going to be very hard for a new manager to come in and implement their system. It's going to be a difficult season for the beginning periods. We want to be able to put the pressure on Ten Hag. You know, I still want to be able to demand from him top 4 next season. Really, like I love Ten Hag, but we need to be back into that Champions League, and it's either we win the Euros, which I think we will, but we have to be able to, you know, the first 10, 15 games be really strong. So I'll be happy for him to have it stripped away. I think, you know, at some point last season, he did say to us in a presser that he's happy to work with people. You know, he's had that experience already with Van der Sar and Overmars. He's already worked in that shape, and he's already worked in that system where it's just him as well. He said he's been able to do both. So, but I think he just does need help at Manchester United. It's a massive, massive club, guys. So I'll be extremely happy for it to be stripped away from him, but it's more about him staying on at the club, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I see that. I find it weird because there were previous reports saying that Ten Hag wasn't open to it, but like you said, he's done it. That's where he was most successful at Ajax, where he had that team behind him. Yeah. So I feel like he obviously is open to it, especially considering he still wants to stay at the club amid all of this. He still wants to stay.
I reckon that's more a case of like reports at United being like surrounding United being over embellished. Like I'm as I said before recording, I'm so convinced of that report that came out on the Wednesday or the Friday about Ten Hag is going to be set. Like it was clearly an over embellishment. Like from minute one, it was said that INEOS were going to make their decision after the FA Cup final. Yeah. There's no way they would decide to suddenly make it the day before the FA Cup final. But I do find it quite funny that let's say that report is true and everyone goes, the decision is going to be decided by one game, blah, 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 because, you know, why would anyone else do that? Ten Hag did manage to pull out the bag the one result that I would say would potentially be a game changer. Just not because of, we beat City on a hit and run, got lucky, and Arna made 15 saves, blah, blah, blah. Like, we completely outplayed them. Yeah. Completely and utterly outplayed.
That was Ten Hag's best coaching.
100%. And there is no coincidence that is also partly down to the fact that he had the players available.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, you've got the players available, you're allowed to do more stuff. Like Lisandro Martinez, you have him available, you're allowed to do more. But, and as I've said previously, although, yes, the injuries are definitely partly a reason why, you know, we've not been as good, I kind of think the injuries are to a certain extent Ten Hag's fault.
Yeah, but even without the injuries, I still think. And obviously, you can't be as I don't want to say negative, but we did sit in a low block against City, as you should do. Yeah, but even against different teams, I feel like we could have had such a more stable out of possession approach.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously, personnel helps, but the way in which we sat in a block against City in the final, I was just like, obviously, people don't want to see you sit in a block against Burnley. But still, I think just that bit better out of possession approach would have made me more confident throughout the season. But
yeah, we did it well against Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
I know we lost that game 1-0, won at Old Trafford, but and the players said after the game they sat tight, they stayed tight, and they were pretty decent. But I do, if you got something to say.
No, well, I was just going to talk about the shape in terms of what is he meant to do, Kane, in terms of, he believes in his 3-1-6 or his 3-2-5. I think he's going to adapt it to a 3-2-5. He has to if he wants to survive long enough in the Premier League. Yeah. But, what is he meant to do? He believes in that system. He said, I think, in a presser, I can't believe it, I think it was after the Brentford press conference a little while back now, in terms of the defenders need to step up. He wants greedy defenders to close that space that's in the middle with the one midfielder, the one holding midfielder by himself. So if he doesn't have those greedy defenders at his disposal now, you're saying to then play the conservative football until you get those greedy defenders that can close the space? Or do you keep showing that to the world that I haven't got the greedy defenders yet, I haven't got the personnel to do what I want to do? That's why there's gaps.
I see what you mean, but I still always take it back to because we didn't exactly have this approach in the first season, and this is going on a bit of a different topic, but I would have preferred those sacrifices to be made in his first season, because you get more leeway, because it's his first season at the club, he's trying to adapt, whereas we played that first season and then he tried to make major adaptations in the second season, and even with the injuries there's still less leeway, because you've just finished third and got a trophy, and obviously we ended up getting the FA Cup, but if we didn't, people's argument was, oh, no trophy in 8th, look how far back you've gone. So there's loads less leeway. But I agree with your point that it's hard to retreat and go away from what you want to do long term, which some people still question whether that's the right way to go, or do you just keep doing it and maybe that will work longer term once you get the profiles. But yeah, I see both sides, to be fair. And
just also on the topic of getting the right profile, I was going to steer this conversation back a little bit to the transfers. So we have centre-back, we talked about that with Jared Branthwaite. Yeah. There's United need another striker. That is, I think, after centre-back, that is our biggest priority. Because I think Højlund's done very well. Yeah. Ultimately, this is what 16 goals a season, ended up being the club's top scorer. Considering what he had and what he didn't have in Anthony Martial, his last game, turns out his last game at the club was December 8th. So he, from December till the end of the season, it was just him as the only natural striker, and Ten Hag had to, what's the word? He had to go to a false 9 as a backup. Yeah, having a false 9 as a backup is that should be your plan D, shouldn't be your plan B. Mm-hmm. But I think striker, 100%. I think striker, we should get an older bloke.
It's interesting,
28,
because
28 years
Ivan Toney.
old. Huh?
Ivan Toney?
Ivan Toney would... Someone like Ivan Toney would be great, but I don't want Ivan Toney.
Oh, why not?
I just... character. I don't know. Personally, my dream striker for us to sign would be Ollie Watkins. I think Ollie Watkins is fantastic.
But not older bloke.
He's so good.
In the prime right now, 24, 25.
He's older than that, isn't he? He's 27.
I don't know, 26, 27.
I think he's slightly older than that. But I'd love to have the options of having someone like Højlund and someone like Ollie Watkins, because I think they are slightly different players. Yes. And Ollie Watkins, he's just come back off, he scored 19 goals this season?
He's a bags man.
I think it's 19. I think he got 12 assists, but I think his XA was about 4. Yeah. So I don't quite know how that's happened. But I think out of all the strikers, if I had to pick, dream signing, I'd go Ollie Watkins, because I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not thought too much about the personnel, but it is interesting as well. Like you say that more experience, but Fabrizio's mentioned it quite a lot over the past couple of months. United aren't or maybe they are now, but over the past couple of months they've been really thinking about what type of striker to go with. Do you go with another youngster who him and Højlund can...
They've got to go with someone who knows what they're doing, man. They have to. You can't have another person who's 21. Then you've got two 21-year-old strikers, and in 4 years' time, you're going to have to sell one of them.
Yeah, I would really like them to have someone older, just to show Højlund how to do the traditional number 9 play. Yeah. That's Ivan Toney. I mean, and he's coming towards the latter stage of his career. Maybe he's got 3-4 more years left. If we can get a good price point for him, or somebody that's maybe just really for a mid in terms of ability, they're not that brilliant, and then literally when they're not firing, Højlund comes in and does the business for us.
Yeah. I still think it's got to be a good balance. This is why it's probably quite a big talking point within those at United, because you don't want to get a striker who, when Højlund's going to not start more than 10-15 games next season, because I do think despite a lot of difficulties throughout the year, a lot of that did come down to, I think, obviously the wrestling argument, etc., but a lot of it come down to United just not being that good. Yeah. So the striker wasn't getting service and confidence is affected. I think if United overall players are better team next season, Højlund will get more goals easily.
And to final transfer thing, so Casemiro almost certainly going in the summer. I hope he does.
Yes.
As much as, thank you Casemiro for the 2 years, you're done. You're done. Yeah. And whoever comes in next will be playing alongside Kobbie Mainoo, right? They will, because you can't, Kobbie Mainoo's, well, he's Kobbie Mainoo, man. Like, he's going to be, like, from the next, hopefully, 12 years, he's going to be in that midfield, bossing it. Yeah. What's the best type of player to go next to Kobbie Mainoo? Who complements it? Is it someone like Casemiro, or is there a different style of player?
Kante. Sorry to cut you.
Go on.
Kante, an N'Golo Kante type. That's because Kobbie needs
like
energy.
winner.
Yeah, he needs energy around him because his stride is graceful, but it's not very powerful, and he wants to drift into areas. And sometimes he wants to defend, and he's very good at that, and sensing the danger. And sometimes he wants to attack, but you need someone that can fill in the gaps, know when to fill in the gaps for him, and be in and around him, but quickly with pace. And then, like you said, the ball winner attributes that they need to love a tackle, and those kind of things. They need Roy Keane would have been brilliant next to him, just to guide him into certain positions or areas and just look after where he's gone overcommitted. You're there protecting the line. So, you don't want him to defend too much. I think he could be a 10. I think he could end up being a better 10 than Bruno, because he's learning from Bruno now, and in some stage when he matures, he could be even better than Bruno in that chance creation element. We haven't seen enough of that, but he arrives in good pockets and good areas to score goals.
He needs like a kind of just like a workhorse behind him.
Yeah. Basically, I would say that's humble enough to say, I'm going to defend first. Think about defending first, so that you don't always have to do it.
Yeah.
So, but we need to give Kobbie time though. I don't want us to get on his back.
I also don't think, obviously, like you said, we need the eventual midfield signing is probably partner and Kobbie, but also I don't think Kobbie should be starting as many games next season as he has this year. Obviously, for him and Garnacho, this season has been they've probably got more developed from this season than they would have got in 2 or 3 seasons if they were bench players. But as well, I don't think we can rely on him. Even we've relied on him because he's the only midfielder who's press resistant, can dribble with the ball. McTominay as well, but attacking threat. He's got all these things which Ten Hag's looking at his other options, and he's got Eriksen, Casemiro. They don't offer the same thing, so he's had to start him every week. I would, obviously, budget permitting, I don't know how much money we'll have, but it would be nice to see us get that holding midfielder, and then also maybe a cheap option, maybe one of Ashworth's kind of someone from Colombia or something like that. But it would be nice to see someone like a rogue option or someone from the existing squad, maybe a youngster coming through. Dan Gore, obviously.
Toby Collier or something.
Yeah, Toby Collier is. Yes. I haven't actually watched too much of him myself because he went straight into the 21s.
I remember reading that he was class at Brighton.
Yeah. But I'd like to see that as well because I don't want us to run Kobbie into the ground before he's 21.
Yeah. We always play a game show on here. And this week I'm playing.
Yes.
So, Kane, just tell us what's happening.
Yeah, guys, I've decided that we need to start testing Dill's ball knowledge because he's just over here asking the questions half the time. So I thought we'd do guess the player by their career path. I'm going to go through 5 different players, starting from their first club of their professional career, so not necessarily all the youth teams when they started playing professionally.
First, they made their professional.
Yeah. Okay. And go through to the last one. You guys can. What's your buzz? Have a buzzer, Dill. What do you want your buzz?
I'm on the spot now. I'm gonna go. Beep.
Very good. Very good. It's an actual buzzer.
It's like a reversing truck.
So basically, whenever you want, as I'm going through the teams, if you think you're confident that you know the player, you buzz in, say the player. If you get it right, you get a point. We go on to the next one. If you get it wrong, so if Dill gets it wrong, Marcel, you can wait for my whole list. The entire clubs,
nice.
And then make your decision. And then if you're wrong, you can both have one more go. So first player, right? A few of these clubs are a little bit dodgy, but first player, he started his career at Zaragoza, moved to Athletic Bilbao for 3 years.
Beep, and Herrera.
That is correct.
Oh, you're
Bang!
Well done.
I didn't know. I thought he started his career at Athletics.
Well done.
Oh,
Cool.
ball knowledge
Right.
through the roof.
So-
Yeah, that's good.
1-0 deal.
I hate my
Marcel.
buzzer sound.
Right, this is so a short one. So I'm looking forward to see if you get this. But so started his professional career at Manchester United. He went on loan to Real Zaragoza, and then he moved permanently to Barcelona and finished his career at Barcelona.
I have absolutely
Right.
no idea. Are we allowed to ask for any hints?
I can tell you a clue is that he was at Barcelona for 16 years.
I know who
I
it
might
is.
get that one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Beep. Is it Gerard Piqué?
It is PK.
Oh.
Come on.
A bit
I was
of a
trying to
rogue
think-
shout.
I was
a
trying
bit
to
of a
think
rogue
which
shout.
United players have moved to Barcelona. There's not many.
I was thinking of Marquez for some reason, but that's been the same time.
Yeah.
I guess, but-
Right.
I might be smart, you know.
We
you are.
shouldn't have let him do this.
I might be
Showing him.
smart.
Right.
I'm
Next
not.
up, this is another rogue one. So started his career at Manchester United. He went on loan to Brighton, then went on another loan to Derby County, another loan to Sheffield United, and a final loan to Aberdeen. He's
James Wilson.
correct. Big up.
Fair play.
Yes,
See,
come
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Just loads of loan deals.
Where is he
Yeah.
now?
He is now at Port Vale, according to.
Oh,
But yeah,
Poor lad.
no. If that injury never happened, we might have never
He's a
seen Marcus
baller.
Rashford.
Yeah, he's a baller.
oh, that's very
yeah,
true.
Yeah.
He's a baller.
But
So
yeah.
is Rashi though. What the hell?
Right. Next up, I'll go this one. So we've got someone who started their career off at Arsenal. He's gone on loan to Fulham, then on loan to Bristol City. Then he's moved permanently to Bristol City. He's moved to Newcastle United.
This is Andy Cole.
Andy Cole.
My
2-2.
God, Andy.
Oh,
2-2.
yeah.
My
I'd
God,
never get
number
that.
9.
It comes from the guy who's halfway through reading Andy Cole's
Yeah.
book as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
that's
perfect
true.
actually. Yeah, that's not too bad. Right.
Cannot believe that.
I'll end it on the fifth and final one. We've got started his career at CSKA Sofia. I think that's the best pronunciation I can do.
Yeah.
Then he's moved to Bayer Leverkusen. Then he's moved to Tottenham Hotspur. And then he's made his move to Manchester United.
Who is it? Berbatov.
It is Berbatov.
Oh, good
Yes,
guess. That's
come on.
solid.
I wasn't sure about the Leverkusen thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was
I've
hoping
got-
Bayern Munich will come up for maybe Owen Hargreaves. I was going to say.
Is that 3-2?
I've got
Yeah,
two more.
yeah.
Do you want to go through the?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, yeah,
do you want to
please,
go through
yeah.
the
I'll
last
give you a
ones?
chance,
Yeah,
Marcel.
please. Thank you.
Right. Oh, right. There's a couple. Right. This player started his career at Strasbourg.
Mm-hmm.
He then moved to Southampton. He then moved to Manchester United. He then spent a few years at United, and then moved to Everton.
This is Schneiderlin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the Midfield.
Yeah. He was
I was
Oh.
thinking.
Schweinsteigerlin.
Yeah, he's
Other than Luke Shaw, I couldn't think of anyone who'd
Yeah,
come from
I couldn't think of
Southampton.
anything else.
Yeah.
Right, so that's
3-3
3-3. This is the new decider. I feel like someone will get this one quick. It's not too complicated. I might have jinxed that, and neither of you
Yeah,
know.
it is.
But so this player started his career at Ajax. Then he moved to Juventus.
I'm going to guess Daley Blind.
Oh, that
it
is
not?
not correct. That's the first.
go get God.
I've got unlimited time now.
So
don't I?
Yeah, go
obviously
Tell me.
started at Ajax.
Ajax, Juventus.
Juventus. Then he made the big move to Fulham,
Right.
and then he moved to Manchester United, and then I'll add that there's one appearance for another club 5 years after he left Manchester United. Nordwick. That will probably give you a bit of a clue if I've said that correctly.
Oh, can I come back again?
Yeah,
What?
Marcel,
Yeah.
no, do you know?
I think so.
Wait,
think
so
so.
we bought him from Fulham,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then 5 years later, 5 years after he left United, he made a single appearance.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say this, please. Just
Yeah.
guess.
Who the? What?
Okay, let me guess.
Right.
For the
I reckon you'll
for the
get
life
chance.
of me.
We're gonna have to push you
No,
for a guess,
can
Bill.
I ask for a clue? Like, no, in terms of like time frame. Are we talking 90s, 2000s? early-
It's not 90s. It's past 90s.
Oh, that's a nice clue. That's a nice clue.
No! I'm gonna get done in by the comments.
I thought this was quite a
no,
new
I'm
one.
gonna
Yeah.
look, Marcel, for the
Saha!
second time.
Huh?
Saha. No.
What, Louis Saha?
Louis
Yeah,
Saha.
yeah.
He
No,
just said, what, he
no,
just said
no.
not like... I don't know.
Right, I'll
I
give
don't
you
know.
both.
I
What
don't know.
you're both back in.
Okay.
I'll give you one clue.
I thought I got that.
Right, whoever. This is going to be an obvious clue, so you're going to know it after. So he made one appearance for VV Nordwick in 2016. His boyhood club. He'd never played professionally for them, but moved back and played one game for them, and he saved the penalty in that game.
And the Saha.
Van der Sar. I found that really interesting. I was checking it out, and
He was at, wait, is this the same one where there was someone from Juventus?
Sorry.
He was at Juventus?
Yeah, I didn't really think. I didn't.
Fulham.
I did
He was
not
at
know
Fulham,
that.
I remember.
Yeah, Fulham, and then we got him from Fulham.
That's crazy. I
Went
should
back.
have known that.
Went back to his home team club, which he never made professional appearance
I remember
for.
this. I do
And
remember
it
this
went
now.
viral. It went viral.
That's nice.
Damn it! That's annoyed me. Anyway, okay.
Well,
no,
yeah,
we're moving
Marcel
on.
wins 4-3.
I was too confident, bro. I was too confident.
He's not getting. Dill's not getting. He's gonna go back to making all the games now. We're not
Yeah.
gonna-
Fuming! Anyway, right. Last topic. It's about INEOS. So,
Yeah.
INEOS so far at United, the decisions surrounding the football, I think most people have been pretty on board with so far in terms of who they've hired, what they're changing, who they got rid of, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about the recent stuff to do with the non-footballing staff, which is it's irking me a little bit.
A bit.
So,
It's really strict.
Yeah,
it seems,
like
doesn't
it's. So
it?
I
Yeah.
understand, the whole streamlining thing. We need to save money. United need to save money. They've been spending way too lavishly for way too long. But the way that they've gone about it so far, this might just be me being a bit of a novice or whatever, because obviously I don't understand the world of business the same way that billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe does. But it's just it's irking me a little bit, because things like kind of offering mass resignation and stuff to get their bonuses early, and what's the other thing they've done? Oh yeah, moving everyone back in office after it's shown that kind of hybrid working is definitely the way forwards in the grander scheme of things.
Yeah.
And moving people back into the office when there's not enough spaces, so they're knocking down various suites at Old Trafford to make more office space. Just something about it is worrying me ever so slightly, and what I'm really hoping is this is just a kind of rip the band-aid off type of thing, rather than more of a permanent way of working. Because if it's going to be this chop and change, or this like mass clear out, constant just kind of get rid of everything and everybody suddenly and immediately, I don't know. Hopefully, obviously, it's just like they're just trying to rip the band-aid off and get everything out of the club
Clean
as fast as
slate,
they can, clean slate. But I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about it is ever so slightly worrying me.
I've seen that. I think the general reaction is it's a little bit harsh. Like you saw the FA Cup final reports, which said that a lot of the things that they'd got when they went to Wembley before,
like free
staff,
ticket, travel, lunch, all of that, like basic things that you wouldn't provide, they got rid of for staff. And you're like, why?
And it does seem like, because you do think people were angry at Manchester United because the football team's been bad. Does do all of these different areas affect that? Yeah, little bits and pieces, but it doesn't seem like it's too big of an effect. But I do think what you said just then, I think it's almost like a clean slate. I don't think United will not be hybrid working forever, but I do think you could argue that it's a good idea that while there's a new culture being made at the club, that culture could be argued to be easier to install when everyone's in the building, everyone's doing those things, and then maybe once everyone's a bit more comfortable, it will be more flexible. We don't entirely know, but I do see the sides of different arguments where these aren't the guys we're angry at, but they all seem to be getting a bit peed off with.
And also it's just the other thing, like just the after party, the end of season awards thing.
Yeah,
and
that was
cancelling it. Fair, but the way they didn't inform the women's team.
I don't even think cancelling it's fair, to be honest. The academy's got a treble, and the women won the FA Cup and United.
And
obviously,
eventually won the FA Cup.
If you want the men's team to be completely focused on the FA Cup, fine, they don't go, but you should still have the awards.
What they did with the women's team was they cancelled it, and the women's team found out through the Athletic report that then said it was cancelled.
Which is bad.
After so I think it was they set the date, and then they had moved the date. And then so women's team players cancelled and moved holidays to be able to attend it. Yeah. And then they cancelled it. And then didn't tell the women's team they'd cancelled it until like the week before. So the men's team could focus on the FA Cup final. This was after the women's had already won the FA Cup final. And as you said, the under-18s had won a domestic treble. It feels a little bit like I quite enjoy the women's football team. Kind of in much more of a casual basis rather than the men's team. I'm very invested in that. But they're doing some people, not surrounding the men's team, a bit too harshly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying there, but I also understand what Kane's saying in the sense of, the staff and everyone else kind of surrounding the main crux of the team in terms of the players in the first team. They're suffering, the staff and the women's team and obviously the youth team as well. I would say hopefully this is like what you're saying, just a temporary thing, and then later on when we do get to resolve kind of the main issues, and hopefully we're seeing those main issues that the first team, they're suffering as well. We're extracting the wages from certain players and making big cuts that way. They have to make action on that. And I think ultimately that comes with the communication, like what you're saying in terms of, communicating with the women's team, communicating with the staff maybe better and more urgently. They have to be able to do that, even starting from maybe next season in terms of communicating to what is the style of play so that everybody knows, the fans, everybody within the club we know what our DNA is going to be going forward for a long period of time. So
yeah, it's on that point as well. It's quite interesting. We talk about Dan Ashworth coming in hopefully soon coming in as a sporting director. Everyone talks about the transfers, but every time I've seen him in interviews, he always mentions the importance of him being the link between all areas of the club, the women's team, the academy, the medical side.
He's the glue.
And you mentioned communication problems. If Dan Ashworth is in the building and doing that job to how we expect him to do it, he probably is going, right, this needs to be communicated to the women's team, we need to figure this out. Though we've not had that person to really glue everything together. Yeah. And that's what I've, speaking about him personally, that's what I've noticed whenever I've looked at a few prior interviews with him. There was a good one on what used to be BT Sport when he was at Brighton, and he was speaking in detail about his role. So I think all these issues where different staff members might feel, especially, I think having that person in the building eventually is going to be beneficial
he's
to
going to end up being the most important guy, isn't he?
He'll basically give us the direction of travel. That will be his thing. He'll give us the direction of travel, where we're going to go to.
He's the sat-nav.
Basically, he will give us the direction of travel, and that's maybe why this is a temporary band-aid thing, like what you're trying to say, Dad. I definitely think hopefully it's a temporary thing, but I definitely think it's a worry though, because if it's not in place, this early on in the stage of next season, I think it could be a worry, as time goes on. We do
need to sort this Ashworth stuff out. Yes. It is obviously the arbitrations. Is it arbitration? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's meant to be coming any day now. Really, it's meant to be happening right now. Soon. So we'll probably hear reports on that in the coming weeks.
I think what's going to happen is I think all Newcastle are trying to do. This is obviously just completely my theory. I think all they're trying to do is make sure we don't get him until after the transfer window. I think as soon as the transfer window shuts, they'll let him go.
Maybe, but also I think they want their own man because they got rejected by Dougie Friedman, which probably and that's probably a freaking reason, because Dougie's probably sat there going, blimey, if a big club comes into me, I'm basically got handcuffs on. So they need to get their man in first, and then I think they might also be a bit more open in negotiations.
But I think overall, I've been very happy with pretty much every decision INEOS has made so far, and as I've always said with the manager thing, I'm just going to be happy with whatever they do because I trust them to make the right choice, and I'm willing to just let them get on with it, and then in a year's time I'll then say, retrospectively, yes, I think it was the right decision, or retrospectively, no, I think it was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But this is just one thing where it's a little flag for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, why are you already being like, they're so focused on the men's team? Like there are other teams in the club. There's a whole women's academy. There's a whole men's academy. There's a whole women's team.
Well, to be fair, I think, like you've said about Ten Hag in recent pods, where you've said you think it would be worth giving Ten Hag that extra year while everything gets sorted.
True.
I think that's what they're doing with Mark Skinner, because they've only gave him a 1 year.
They gave him a 1 year contract, yeah.
I
that's
think,
true. Yeah.
I think that's, and unfortunately that's just how it goes. The men's team is the focus right now. Hopefully, once things are in place, they will have more of a say on the way. I think there'll be like a big thing with the women's side in the next year.
I hope so.
Potentially,
to be fair as well, if Mark
Skinner's
Skinner's got 1 year contract, they keep Ten Hag on his other 1 year contract, they could then bring in two new managers at the same time for both the men and women's team.
Or give Ten Hag a new 5-year deal, Marcel?
Yes, yes, you're laughing. Yes.
Lifetime contract.
What happens if he achieves the Europa League once he achieves the Europa League and a domestic cup next season? What happens then?
No, if he
does that,
this is the thing that I've been saying about Ten Hag the entire time, right? Is if you keep him and he doesn't do well enough next season, you can let him go for free. You've spent no money getting rid of him.
Facts.
And if he does enough to genuinely earn a new contract,
never 2 years.
He's done enough to earn a new contract. He deserves that contract because that means we've been sick.
Yes.
If let's say next season, let's say you keep Ten Hag and then suddenly we get 82 points and we win the FA Cup or we win the Europa League and we get into final cup finals. At that point, you're like, oh, what? So we give Ten Hag a new deal? Like, yeah. Because he's been amazing, and fair play, he's earned it. But the bar to then earn that you keep him this season and set a ridiculous bar to earn a new contract. If he hits that bar, fair play, he then deserves it.
Can we please,
if he doesn't, you can get rid of him for free.
Can you please give me a suggestion as to what that bar is, Dylan?
That bar is, I think, obviously top 4, obviously Champions League qualification, and that Champions League qualification through the league, not through winning the Europa League.
Hear that, yeah.
I reckon that's, I would say, 78 points. Because I've always thought, if you're not going to aim to win the league, the best way to judge how you've done in a season is not by where you finish, but your points.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think if Ten Hag can prove that he can get close to that 80-point barrier, then fantastic, and winning another trophy. If, let's say, we get to the Europa League semis again, get knocked out, and then get knocked out in the other 2 cup competitions, I mean, you're decent in the league, I don't think that's enough to stay. Because he has to do enough to show he's a good manager, while also making up for this season.
But also, I think him next season will be, obviously we're going to need to be back in the Champions League. It would be very good if we win another cup, but I think also how well he adapts to the type of football that INEOS want to play, because if we go through next season like this one where we win a cup, we get European qualification, maybe if we won the Europa League we get Champions League qualification, but you are looking at a football team which isn't progressing. Like maybe we can get a few more points, because we will get more points, because we won't, touch wood, we won't have of 60 injuries in a season.
We need 16, 17 more points than we got this season.
But if we get more points, but you're still going, the team's not looking. I think that's going to be an important thing next season as well, because INEOS want this new style of play, and if they keep Ten Hag, they obviously trust that he can either adapt what he's currently doing, adapt what he's currently doing and see what he can do. If he can't do that, then they probably will look to move him on, even if he does get top 4.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's an interesting
If you keep him and then set a ridiculously high bar, if he achieves that bar, sweet. That means United have done
I'm
well.
still not confident he stays, to be honest. I'm still...
I would be surprised if he goes. But I should have said this at the beginning of the podcast. But we are filming this Thursday afternoon early. There's a chance that it comes out this afternoon, and this goes out at 6 p.m. And then the whole conversation is invalid. Yeah. But if he leaves, overall, that's just what I think. I still think
I think it's about 70% he goes, 30%
really?
he stays. I think.
I mean, each their own, but I still think the chances are is they'll make it. I don't think INEOS will. But again, with how ruthless they're being with the rest of the United staff, they might just be that ruthless as well. Who knows?
He's staying.
Marcel's going into hiding if he gets sacked.
Well, not if it's for De Zerbi, but he's staying.
De Zerbi of all managers?
Yeah, I love De Zerbi.
Oh, well, I think
I do find it interesting. I don't know who I'd want in, to be honest.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'll go with whatever INEOS decide. At the end of the day, again, I can't affect it. I can't sit there on the camera and look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe and be like, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, do this. I can't do that. So I'll just see what they do. They're in the power. I'm not in the power. I'm just a guy on the sofa.
Yeah.
But I think that just about wraps up the next episode, this episode. Thank you very much for coming on, Marcel, as always. Nice for you to come down to London, Kane. And for those of you who have got through the entire episode, thank you very much for watching. Remember to listen on Apple and Spotify podcasts if you do. Thank you very much for Manscaped for sponsoring the episode, and we will see you next Thursday.